If you break the law or conspire to commit heinous acts of violence against anyone, we will find you, we will hold you accountable, and we will bring you to justice.
Governor Gretchen Whitmer reacting to today's shocking top story, a plot to kidnap and possibly kill her. These are just 5 of the more than a dozen men arrested in separate state and federal investigations accused in the terrorist plots. I'm at Franklin live in our Flint studio tonight.
And I'm Terry Camp in our Great Lakes Bay Region newsroom, pushing our investigation forward now at 6.
It's another part of our team coverage across our viewing area tonight. Right now, Ian Perret is live in Shiawassee County at one of the locations involved in this case with exactly what these men were prepared to do. That's in less than 2 minutes. But first, Michael Nafso is live outside the federal courthouse in downtown Flint with a better idea now of where all of this statewide plot was happening. Michael.
Yeah, man, that plot, it was serious. It was elaborate, and it just took a lot of spots and throughout the entire state of Michigan, and it required several charges and several search warrants across the state of Michigan. I'll show you that map here in just a moment, but first, we want to share some video from our affiliate, Detroit affiliate, WXYZ. They say the feds about a half hour south of here, a Heartland Township man was charged for his part in the plot to kidnap Governor Whitmer. This following a police raid at his mobile home park late last night into early this morning. Now, as for other communities involved that were mentioned in the press conference earlier, during the Attorney General's press conference today, Dana Nessel listed the cities where 7 men charged by the state for their role in the plot were living. As you can see here, most of them on the southern part of the state. On the east side of the state, that's where FBI and state police arrested several men where they were meeting to pool funds for explosives and exchange tactical gear. But keep in mind, a large part of this plan was supposed to actually unfold on the west side of the state, spying on, tasering, and then eventually kidnapping the governor at her vacation home, that about an hour south from Kalamazoo. Also on the west side is Grand Rapids. That's where one of the suspects owns a business. In the basement of that business is where FBI say several suspects met to plot their portion of the plan. In June, the group went to a Second Amendment rally in Lansing to recruit more members for their plot, initially where they were planning on storming the Capitol, but then decided, according to the FBI, that kidnapping the governor at her vacation home would be easier. Now, that's just in Michigan, but we failed to mention until now that there are many locations outside of Michigan, too. For example, investigators are in Baltimore because one of the suspects from Delaware, and then in Dublin, Ohio, where men discussed the plan in greater detail. So we're seeing not only locations in Michigan, but we're also seeing locations outside and throughout the country, too. So a very elaborate and serious plan. Some of those ties bringing us right back to mid-Michigan, of course. But for that, I'll send it back to you, Matt, in the studio.
All right, Michael, and Ann, you've been digging through the criminal complaints filed in court today and found some ties to mid-Michigan. You're in Ovid right now. What happened there?
Yes, here in Ovid, just down the street from me on West M21, FBI and state police conducted a search warrant on a home last night. The homeowner confirming to me they raided his home around 9:30. He was shocked, still is, but says he was not arrested and is not considered to be involved in this plot to kidnap the governor. Here's a look at his home. The man says agents took his guns, laptops, and cell phone. He told me he was a member of the Facebook group at the center of this, the Wolverine Watchmen. The man believed it to be a group focused on Second Amendment rights. Shortly after joining, he says someone made him an admin of the group. As the admin, he says he tried to ban several people who he said were, quote, talking about weird stuff, about doing nefarious things. He did not want to be a part of that and left the group around March. We've learned from the FBI's complaint they've been watching that Facebook group since March, and it's where much of the discussion of this plot to kidnap Governor Gretchen Whitmer started, and also at one point included talks of killing the governor. The complaint quotes one of the suspects as saying, have one person go to her house, knock on her door, and when she answers, just cap her. The suspects talked about overthrowing tyrants. It's important to note this wasn't just talk. The FBI's complaint says the men had firearms training and conducted tactical combat drills multiple times in Michigan. The record shows over several months they met in Munich at a militia group member's home where they built and tested IEDs and other explosives. The latest just 1 month ago in September at one of the accused's properties in Luther. That area is only an hour and a half away from the governor's vacation home where they planned to kidnap her.
The alleged conspirators used operational security measures, including communicating by encrypted messaging platforms, and used code words and phrases in an attempt to avoid detection by law enforcement. Among other activities, members of this conspiracy on 2 occasions conducted coordinated surveillance on the governor's vacation home.
And after hearing about today's announcement, the man who lives here tells me while he doesn't agree with the governor's politics, he says you should not be killed over your political views, adding that guns should be used to preserve life, not take life. Live in Ovid, I'm Ann Perrette, ABC 12 News.
All right, thanks, Ann. And while you've been going through those accusations, I've been doing some research on the suspects themselves. Not a lot of previous criminal records on most of the 13 people charged. At 5:30, we showed you the men facing federal charges. Here are a few facing state charges. 7 men from Michigan face charges under the state's Anti-Terrorism Act. 2 of those men are Paul Bellar of Milford. He is 21. Sean Fix is 38 of Belleville. Now, arraigned this afternoon in Antrim County was 36-year-old Eric Molitor of Cadillac. He faces a 20-year felony for providing material support for terrorist acts in carrying and possessing a firearm. Arraigned with Molitor this afternoon were 2 brothers, twin brothers, 38-year-old William Null of Shelbyville. He faces the same charges as Molitor. Also facing those same state charges, Michael Null, 38 years old from Plainwell. 2 other men who lived together face 4 criminal charges each. 42-year-old Joseph Morrison lives in Munith. He faces 1 count of threat of terrorism, 1 count of gang membership, carrying a firearm during a felony, and providing materials supporting terrorist acts. And the man that lives with him is this man, 42-year-old Pete Musico. He faces those same 4 charges. As was the case with the men facing federal charges, there was little criminal history on these men that could be found in court records. 19 state felony charges were filed by the Attorney General against the 7 individuals who investigators say are known to be members or associates of the Wolverine Watchman militia group. 13 people in all, 6 facing federal charges and 7 facing state charges. Well, according to the Attorney General's office, some of those suspects are part of that group called